Howdy gang, all you night owls. Chris Angel coming at you for another episode of Marketing for the Rest of Us. It is after 10:30 Friday night at the time of this recording. So for those of you joining me live, thanks for hanging out with me. And for those of you catching a replay, thanks for being here. This show, as you guys have heard before, is dedicated to those of you who are people-oriented and you have a heart to make the world a better place. And technology often is that thing that stands in the way, right? We got to learn algorithms and chase SEO and all this stuff that doesn't make sense to those of us who just want to make a difference with people. So if that's you and you're in business, you're in the right place because this show is dedicated to that conversation. I want to recap. I started the third program in my sequence today. It's called The Lab. So I've got the Groundswell Method Intensive, which is a 6-week program dedicated to helping you find your voice and your message. From there, the second program is The Fetch. And in The Fetch, we actually start to dive into program design. How do you design your programs? How do you then also invite people into your programs? How do you foster relationship with the people that are consuming your content so that they feel not only safe in your space, but that they want to work with you? That's program 2. Program 3, The Lab, now is where we actually get to go to work even deeper in the implementation of all that work. So today in that call, one of the things that came up was distraction, right? Distraction comes up because we have all these different ideas. In the context of the call today, it was like all these different ideas for our programs, right? Like when we design programs, we're like, wow, there's so many things I could teach. Which ones do I teach? I could teach it this way, or I could teach it that way. And you can see that if you go that direction, ideas just start to come. And that's a cool thing. Ideas are cool. But there's a downside to ideas, right? When ideas start to flow and you have too many ideas, and what happens is you don't know which path to take. And that becomes a problem because now you have confusion. Now you're like, do I go this direct? Do I teach it this way or do I teach it that way? Maybe in your marketing, you're like, well, do I talk about this or do I talk about that? That's the hard part about having a lot of ideas. And each idea, at least for me, I love my ideas. My ideas, I just love ideas. That's just how that is. It's like Bob Ross painting happy little trees. Like every happy tree is a great idea. I love it. Every idea is a happy little tree. I love it. So how do I pick? How do I choose? Like, I love parts of this happy tree and I love parts of that happy tree. And so in the world of ideas, you can start to see that when I have this idea compared to all the others, each idea makes the other idea incomplete or not good enough, right? And vice versa. And this idea that was really cool over here, it makes all the other ideas not good enough. And now I'm stuck in this world of great ideas, but none of the great ideas are good enough. And so when things aren't good enough, then I'm paralyzed. I can't take action. So here's how we get to the other side of that. At some point, you have to just pick. You have to just pick a path. You've got to go down a direction. Some of you, like I was for so many years, are stuck. You don't know which path to pick. As if one of the paths was the right path. That's the hard part, right? You're like, well, maybe this isn't the right one. Maybe that's the right one. And so you can feel this uncertainty in the background. But that's actually not how it is. Any path is an okay path. Any of the paths that you see to take are okay. But it might mean that you have to have a funeral for all the other paths because you can't go down them all. You can't have them all. You have to pick, and that's the hard part is we don't want to pick. We don't want to pick. But the challenge of not picking then is you stay here. You stay stuck here. You don't actually get to move on in your impact, in your business, in your life, in your goals, because you're stuck and paralyzed back here at not picking. So you need to start making peace with picking a path and then affirming that this path is the path I'm taking. Like this path is a good path. It is a good path and I'm excited to be on this path. And the other ideas of paths were great, but I'm not going to pursue those. This is the path I choose. And then you throw your hat over the wall and off you go and you burn the boats on everything else. You have to, because if you try to keep a back door open for something else, you'll never fully commit. Listen, speaking from experience, I did that for so long. I've told you guys before, right? That my first 2 years in real estate when I was 24, 25, 26, I had like 6 different business cards because I went through 6 different business names. I just couldn't pick. I'm like, I don't know what to pick for a business name. And I tried to do them all and I didn't do any of them well. Look, you've got to pick a path. And once you pick that path, you need to honor it, love it, acknowledge it for the cool path that it is, rather than comparing it to not being as good. There are great parts of this path, but then there are parts that aren't as cool as that other idea I had. Yeah, but that's the part you have to bury, right? You've got to move on and burn the rest of the boats. So the question would be for you tonight, where are you feeling paralyzed and stuck? And then look, could it be that you feel stuck because you don't know which path to pick? And if that's the case, then can you see that all of the paths have their bonus, their pros and cons, right? Some are good, but not any of them are perfect. Can you see that? And then in that, can you find one that would be a path worthy of your life? Could you just say, they're all good, but this is the one I want to commit to? And then, can you see yourself committing to it? Because they're all okay, they're all good, but you can't do them all. You have to pick. And then you go pick, and then you go. Off you go. That's the game, gang. That is the game of expansion. You can't expand in multiple directions. You got to go pick a path. And in that path, you will expand. Okay? That's it for tonight in this episode of Marketing for the Rest of Us. Here's to you all expanding by picking a path and burning all the other boats. See you tomorrow.